Hello, we are live. Welcome to Flutespresso. I'm Heather Neuenschwander here with Flute Specialists, Inc. And special guest, I'm so excited to be here with Valerie Coleman.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Heather, and thank you to Flute Specialists for having me. Flute Specialists is, the center of all things flute, and so it's really an honor and a treat to be here. And this gorgeous mug, which is the perfect advertisement, perfect branding. So here's, and look at the yellow, the orange and the inside. It's so yummy. All of it is great. Cheers.
And cheers. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you who are not familiar with Flutespresso, this is our deal. We have coffee and we have flute chat, and that's it. So you're invited to be a part of our conversation online. Those of you on Facebook right now, go ahead and comment. Tell us where you're at, where you're watching from, and what you're drinking. Hopefully you're all big coffee lovers like we are, or it's acceptable to drink tea, don't worry. I have a couple contest winners real quick, or I guess one contest winner and one contest, and then we're going to get started. So we've chosen one person from the comments online leading up to the event to receive a piece of Valerie's sheet music by mail, courtesy of Flute Specialists. And that person is Brittany Bissa. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Brittany, congratulations. You'll be playing Valerie's music.
Yay, Brittany.
And if you're not lucky like Brittany and you haven't won, don't worry. There's another chance right now. We are going to randomly choose one person from the comments below to receive a signed mug by Valerie. I said it wrong. A mug signed by Valerie Coleman. And you get to watch right now as she signs the mug.
Here we go. It's going to be backwards because that's what the camera does. Uh-oh. Oh, wait. This is the first time I'm using the pen. Let's see if it works.
This is how you know it's live.
No, it's not working. Come back to me.
We can pretend she signed it live. This is when she would have signed it. And then you'll make it work after. And I already see people writing they want the mug, Valerie. So.
Oh, good.
All right.
An O's on it.
Now I want the mug. All right. So I think Valerie Coleman needs no introduction, of course. We were just talking about all the amazing things that Valerie does, but I've written a few of them here just as a quick introduction, and you can add more of your favorites. So performance today's 2020 Classical Woman of the Year, hiding behind her coffee mug, and described as one of the top 35 female composers in classical music by the Washington Post. Valerie Coleman is among the world's most played composers living today. Originally from Louisville, Kentucky, correct?
Louisville.
You can tell I'm not. Studying music at the age of 11. By the age of 14, she wrote 3 symphonies and won several local. Wait.
They were never really good.
You don't have to tell us. Won several local and state performance competitions. The founder, creator, and former flutist of Grammy-nominated Imani Winds. Currently, she is the assistant professor of performance, chamber music, and entrepreneurship at the Frost School of Music at the University of Miami. Also a sought-after clinician and recitalist known among educators to be a strong advocate and mentoring source for emerging artists and ensembles around the country. Valerie Coleman, welcome.
Thank you so much, Heather. I really appreciate being here. And I think it's a good way for, to end a Friday with a lot of fun and laughs and coffee. It's perfect.
And that's such a great transition because, of course, my first question that I wrote was, I really want to know, how do you do it all? But I'm going to start by asking you, what are you drinking? It's like on the red carpet. What are you wearing? What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Earth's Best coffee. from Whole Foods, and it's black. And I'm not quite a sugar person when it comes to coffee, although I've been known to put a little bit of bourbon in it. Should it be, past 8 o'clock, 5 o'clock somewhere.
We're so close.
But no, it's straight up black. No other accoutrements involved.
It's the same way I take my coffee, Valerie. We're kindred spirits in that way.
Well, I'm a utility coffee drinker. I used to drink coffee only with desserts, but now I drink it for the reason of the pick-me-up, and I do love the taste, just that cozy, feeling.
Wonderful. Yeah. So moving forward to a couple fun things. It is the holiday season. You have your tree behind you.
Yes.
So do you have any holiday, or you can point out something on the tree if you wanted. I know you were talking about it, or tell us your holiday plans.
Well, normally we spend our New York's or our Christmases in New York because we have an apartment there. But this year we decided to stay put here in Miami, for obvious reasons because of the pandemic and everything. We just avoid traveling as much as possible right now. So this is our first Christmas here, and you probably see a lot of strings on the tree. That is the compromise between me and my daughter. I wanted a tree that had all white lights, to give the look of elegance. And I have a feeling this is the conversation that everyone has around this time. What color lights up on the tree? But my daughter said, we have to have some colored lights on here. So we put 2 strands of colors. And if you see a lot of strings, that is basically the arts and crafts. The strings attached to the bulbs to hang up. But all in all, I think it worked out beautifully. Mm-hmm. And at nighttime, it gives a lovely glow. I see Eva. Hi, Eva. Oh my gosh. And Gail, and oh my gosh, June and William. Oh, from Cleveland, Ohio. Yes, coffee. Thank you guys for joining us. But yeah, we spend our time here in Miami at the University of Miami, where I'm a faculty member here. And holidays in Miami is very interesting because there's no snow. Right now it's a little cool outside though. So I'm not like ruling out the fact that there just may be snow. I'm still gonna believe. I know, wishful dreaming, but
now when you say a little cool, you have to keep in mind I'm in the Midwest, and it is currently, as I'm talking to you, changing from rain to snow right now, and that winter mix awfulness.
Oh here. Yes.
So when you say a little cold, is that like 68 degrees?
It's about 68 degrees. But the thing about it is, if you're in warm areas long enough, then you lose your tolerance for the cold weather. So now people are walking around in puffer jackets in 68 degrees and in sweaters and everything. And so I don't know. It's our autumn right now. I'm grateful though. I am. Beautiful palm trees and all that good stuff. And we have to imagine the white Christmas around us. Bring it down here to the south.
Mm-hmm. I'll hope for that snow for you. You can have ours. So I'm curious what projects you're working on right now. I'm sure you have a lot.
There are a few. I'm working on finishing up 2 band projects right now. One is about suffragist movement. And that one's very interesting to me because initially when I took on the commission, I was very, very excited about it. And, as I started to research more, I started to realize that the suffragist movement did have its darker sides to it as well. For example, there was, at the beginning of the suffragist movement, a large contingent of Black women that were rallying around the suffragists, and being activists and being organizers. And the suffragists, there was motion, there was direction, but then they realized that they couldn't get very far without the southern states. So in order to get the southern states, the idea of Black people voting was no longer on the table. So they had to make a hard decision. Do we get women, white women, the right to vote, and try to, and it might be a failed endeavor if we bring our Black colleagues with us, or do we just let go of that and get the right to vote and then come back around and help along the way? So that the latter was the decision. And it wasn't until 60 years later that Black men and women gained the. How does one reconcile that in a commission that is supposed to celebrate the suffragist movement? And so I started to think about all the things that are happening in today's world, in today's current events, and how the role of Black women as these vehicles of energy organizing has always been consistent, but has now become part of the culture, has become a part of our ancestry, history, identity. So that to me said, okay, that means I have to write a movement. I have to write a movement in this piece about that. And then there's another movement that would not have come along had I not thought about current events with RBG. So there's a memoriam. The middle movement is the memoriam. So that's that project. And the other project I'm working on is the commission with Metropolitan Orchestra, Metropolitan Opera Orchestra. It's a program where it's called the Composer Librettist Program. And what that is they commission you to write an opera, but it doesn't mean that it's going to make it to the main stage. It's kind of like this trial period where they help you through the whole process. And so then at the end of it, you workshop it, and then they make the decision, will it now be blown up and put onto the main stage? So right now I'm looking for a topic and I'm looking for a librettist. So, I welcome ideas. What do you guys out there think would be a great opera? Maybe something flute related, a modern day magic flute. Come on, give me your ideas, please. So those are the two commissions that are on the table right now. And then I have others, flute quartets here and there. One flute quartet piece I'm writing for is for Amy Porter's Anatomy of Sound workshop. So, that's going to have a nice, lovely premiere there. And yeah, there's a little bit going on.
A little bit. The band piece you talked about, is that a commission as well?
It is. University of Michigan.
I thought, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yes, you have a lot of stuff in Michigan, which is where Flute Specialist is. So,
Woo-hoo.
Yes, Michigan. That's great. As you speak about researching for your pieces and knowing a lot of your pieces, I'm curious, have you always been very interested in history? Was that a second passion of yours? Growing up, obviously you're into music, but also history?
Well, honestly, I was never really good in history. And it was because I didn't relate to it. I didn't understand how it affected the world around me at the time. It wasn't until I got older and, compositionally and musically, when you start to learn all the great flute works and the history behind it, that kind of kindled the spark for me with flute. I mean, with learning history. And so it has become a trademark or a skill that every composer must have. And it's very integral to be an interpreter when you perform as well. So I think it wasn't until later that I start to really appreciate that. But a lot of it also had to do with the fact that my own heritage was not included within the history lessons as well. So maybe there wasn't a buy-in from jump.
Mm-hmm. What was I going to ask you? I had a lead in right to it, and I was so into what you said. I'm just going to give it a second and let it sink in.
Okay.
So compositions that you're working on teaching. That's what I was going to ask you. Teaching, what does teaching look like for you right now?
Oh, wow. So teaching for me is runs the gamut of the flute lessons outside of University of Miami. But within its doors, I'm doing both composition and chamber music together. And that's interesting because it gives me an opportunity to work with musicians, um, all different types of woodwind musicians per se, that are interested in creating works. And so they look at this possibility. It's my job to introduce a possibility to them that they too can build a legacy of works, and that they can really write for what's needed within the scope of wind chamber music writing. So that is really, really exciting. And then on top of it, all the performance collaborations that are happening too. So yeah. It's really, really fulfilling. And I'm just really surprised and amazed at the number of students who really are bringing their creativity to the fore. Now, even more so with the pandemic being what it is. I don't know. It's really allowed us to just think about our own survival and our own well-being through creativity in a completely different way. So I'm really excited about that. That's the silver lining to the dark cloud, as it were.
Hmm. Um, we requested a few questions from Instagram. So I don't always have who wrote the question. So I'll just say random Instagram user. And if this was you, feel free to write it in the comments. That was me. But random Instagram user said, I'm interested in her composition. How does she get inspiration? Or how did she first get introduced to it?
Well, I have to say, when I was a little girl, my mom, who owned a daycare center in the neighborhood, we had a little backyard. It was the daycare center and my house. They were side by side. And so my backyard was the playground. But also inside the house was this keyboard organ. And my mom, she was that type of person that really wanted children to explore and find their interests, discover their interests. And so for me and my sisters, we would just play on that keyboard all the time. That was a part of our natural playtime. And I started creating melodies. I must have been, I don't know, 5 or 6. But in the 70s, we went from 8-track player to cassette player, and cassette player became one of the hot items that you would get for the holidays for kids. And so I remember 2 years straight, we got cassette players. And I was just like, okay, this melody has to be somehow documented. So I would record on one and play it back while recording on the other. And then I would just loop it back and forth, adding a different layer each and every single time. And I think maybe that was an introduction into symphonic writing. Thought it was the best idea in the world. It sounded great to me, but looking back, I realized every time you loop cassette player, the sound warps.
Mm-hmm.
So now in my memory, I'm just like, it sounded like a horror show. Like, it sounded crazy. But back then, it was the best thing ever. It wasn't until 4th grade when the band director came to my school, came to my room, public school baby, that the flute was introduced. And all of a sudden, it was a completely, it was like something I was waiting for this entire time. Writing up until that point, I was writing spirals, triangles, X's and O's in order to try to figure out how to notate in a way that I would remember the melody coming back to it, how I would remember the song. But then learning the flute, I just couldn't get enough. I just had to, get the head joint sounding. Took me all afternoon to get it. My mom probably thought I was nuts hearing this, woo, woo, woo. But we all went through that. We all, I think, we love our instrument so much that we remember the moment that we opened up that case, the moment that we had that head joint in our hands for the first time and tried to get a sound. That is a magical moment that I don't think will leave anyone. So, but it was a realization. It was a realization that this was the vehicle upon which a creative energy would now be channeled through. So that's how things got started. I was lucky that, music was in the public school system, and uh, we just, we cannot ever stress the importance of that enough.
I'm a former band director, and so I remember that moment of showing the instruments and getting everybody ready, and then they make the first sound together, and
Yes,
it's beautiful and wonderful and horrible all at the same time.
it's magic.
It's magic.
It's magic because lives are literally being changed in that moment.
Mhm.
There's nothing more powerful than that. Potential. That's why we love watching prodigies. We love watching children learn and grow, is because the potential that they represent and the potential of what kind of impact they'll have on the world from the actions that and lessons that we give them. And I say that because, I'm a mom of a 7-year-old, and she is a force of nature, and I try my best on a day-to-day basis not to tamper down that energy and that authority, that natural fearlessness that kids have. It's wonderful, it's mysterious, and it's I don't know. It's truly a soulful blessing for sure.
Do you remember what drew you to the flute that first time? I'm sure you had other instruments to choose from. Why the flute?
I just remember being I'm one of those strange people that remembers um, being a baby and being, a toddler growing up. And I just remember walking in that very backyard, picking up tree branches and trying to make a sound out of it as if they were flutes, and just holding it up. And, I wasn't doing this. I was doing, let me see if I can get the camera. I wasn't doing this. I was doing this. So I don't know. Maybe it's a past life thing, but flute has always been a part of me, even before I learned how to play, for sure.
Hmm, that's
Flute
so interesting.
with cozy coffee.
Isn't it great? For me, this is a great coffee day, and I guess you said it's cool there, so I
Yes.
can't do it without putting it in quotes. I'm so sorry. It's cool.
The lizards are falling out of the trees here, so it's really fun. I don't know if I should explain that. When it gets cold in Miami, the reptiles they just freeze up.
Oh,
And so there's often reports when it gets really cold, like these iguana warnings, where apparently iguanas fall from the trees. And you have to look out because you might get clocked by an iguana, frozen iguana crawling. And they're fine. They're fine. They'll land on the ground. They'll just be like this. But when the sun comes out and it warms up, they just walk away, walk away, and that's it.
I can imagine not being a native of Miami, though. The first time you hear that it's an iguana freeze warning, you're like, "What now?"
There's land crabs here too. It's just and peacocks.
Okay.
It's really amazing. It's kind of
Oh.
cool.
Um, so as we went live, we were kind of dancing and you had elevator music in your head, but I said I was singing Emoja, because I've been listening to your music and I absolutely love the video that the New York Phil put together. I was just wondering if you had anything to tell me about that.
Well, um, the piece was commissioned. The arrangement, the orchestral version, was commissioned by the Philadelphia Orchestra, and they decided to put it on their opening night of the season. So I came in, and this was the very first rehearsal of this work. Never written anything before for a symphony orchestra of this nature. And I just remember walking out on stage, and the conductor, Maestro Yannick Nézet-Séguin, he said to me, um, I just want to give you fair warning. The orchestra hasn't played in several weeks together, so they get kind of, they really dig in. It's like revving up an engine, and after a while, we work on just calm, settling things down. But everybody's just raring to go. So I just want you to be prepared for that. And so I said, no problem. I had no idea what to expect. But the moment they hit that first note when the string section dug in, I was holding the score, and all of a sudden the score was just like falling to the floor because my knees are so weak. It was all I could do to stand up. That sound, that gorgeous Philadelphia, lush, large room surrounding warmth of a sound just came out of every, area of the stage. And so then they performed the piece, and I'm grateful that it's had life since then. And the New York Phil picked it up. I mean, for their young people's program concerts, because Umoja stands for unity in Swahili. And so the piece in and of itself, is an anthem that calls together in solidarity. And I think that probably it's a suitable piece for the times that we're living in. But the New York Phil decided to play just the last part of it, where the anthem resides. It's normally a 90-minute work, but it was expanded into 10 minutes. So they only played the last part of it. And with every piece, I see Michigan Flute Orchestra love playing Umoja. I love you guys. With every piece that really means a lot to me, that has some kind of connection that I cannot explain, I embed a quote of a melody that my dad created. My father, he used to whistle a lot, and he was a really, really great whistler. And I won't even try to whistle what he I'll sing it, da 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 da. And he would do that because he loved short band radio. He would speak to the truckers in the evenings. That was his pastime of fun. So he died when I was 9.
Mm.
And so that melody has always stuck with me. And I put it right at the end in the string section, right at the most intense part. And so hearing that, and hearing the New York Philharmonic play that moment, yeah, I'll get a little choked up.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's an unparalleled moment, I'm sure.
Well, my dad probably never would have guessed that his daughter or any of his children, being from the West End, would be in the arts, let alone be a composer or creator of some sort. I don't think he could have foreseen that.
Mm.
And I know my mom sure didn't. But yeah. So every time I hear that moment, it's just it's a way of just connecting to him, and yeah, and sending love outward to everyone.
Mm-hmm. And I was reading a lot of things that you've said before, and noting that you have this passion for chamber music because there is such a connection when you're playing chamber music, connection between the instrumentalists and connection with the audience. And I read what you were saying about that and thinking, wow, that's so different right now, when it's so difficult to find that connection. How do you get through that as you're playing and mentoring others? How do you feel about that right now?
I'm of two mindsets with it because of the experiences that I've had within chamber music. They have been the most intimate, the moments when you're on stage and you are relying on the person that is across from you, or if you feel like that person needs energy in that moment because of your camaraderie, because of the work that you've put in together, the teamwork effort, you automatically want to give energy to that person. So to me, that is in and of itself the most core value of what chamber music is: community and giving and energy. And so that's something, even in the midst of this pandemic, it's something that you hold on to, and it's something you remember, because when you're making music and you're at this moment that you're able to really just identify that this is really enriching and this is really a good sound, and you're going beyond yourself, and letting the music become a part of you, that is a special moment. You walk off stage and you want more of that. And so going here to school, that's what I'm trying to impart to the students. It's not just about what's playing on the page. It's about the value of your connection to it and the responsibility that you have towards your neighbor, your partner, to get them to that place of understanding the value of the music and connecting and putting your heart on your sleeve and taking risks, because otherwise you just are just playing. You're just playing notes. It's really about that connection.
Mm-hmm. This one I do have. UNC Flutes said, we would love to hear how you approach learning chamber music with your colleagues. How do you rehearse? What's expected beforehand, between rehearsals, rehearsal techniques, etc.?
Wait, that's a lot of stuff, y'all. First of all, hi guys. It's so great that you're here. Woohoo! Sending love. I would say when you're learning a piece, the first thing that is of essence is bringing excitement and bringing positive energy to the table. Bringing preparation, being on time, having a score with you, looking through the score and marking up who starts the piece. The very first thing, who starts the piece? Listening to recordings, doing as much preparation as you possibly can, so that when you sit down, you're able to send out your own tendrils of awareness to what everybody else is doing. And that allows you to be able to comment on, say, if there's the clarinet part, there's something that you have in unison with that person, and you're just reading through the music for the first time, or you're sitting down for the first time. You want to be able to look up to that person and ask them, can we play that section together? I was thinking that maybe the arc of the phrase could go this way. And so automatically self-preparation gets the group automatically to the next level. And it's a really beautiful thing when everybody does it, because then you don't have to backtrack. Of course, there are times where the music is just placed right in front of you as a group, and you have to learn the music right then and there all together. And that kind of work is really, really valuable. Metronome is a core trait of really making that work and getting everybody, in sync to play the first note together, starting and stopping, all of that. There's a lot of stuff, but more or less at the end of the day, it's all about your responsibility and not just playing through the piece as a group, but just really being able to put yourself in a position where you can be a leader in your contribution.
The teacher in me loves that you mentioned the metronome. Just so happy right now. Just gonna let that sit.
The metronome is, deity. In chamber music, and it's not there to offend anybody's ego. It's a machine, y'all. Don't get upset if somebody turns on the metronome or says we need the metronome for a second. Really, the metronome is a way of rallying everybody together. So I can never stress that enough, to take the I out of whatever.
Yeah, sometimes my students say the metronome doesn't like me, and it's a machine.
Oh, that tricky metronome. It's kind of, it's silly sometimes. It'll speed up, slow down.
Tricky. There were some questions about tips for extended techniques. Your pieces use a lot of fun extended techniques. My kids will laugh from the other room as I'm singing while playing, and I'm horrible at flutter tonguing, and that's what this question is tips for extended techniques when one absolutely cannot roll their tongue, from Caitlin on Instagram.
Oh gosh, I've been thinking a lot about this because you're not alone. You're not alone. There are many folks that cannot roll their R's, the guttural R that's in the back of the throat. And I've come to believe that it takes your throat to be somewhat closed in order for the roll to happen. Obviously, this, if we were to gargle, shall we gargle our coffee? Some people do like this. Right? Oh gosh, that wasn't really attractive at all. I apologize.
You were great. I mimed it a little bit.
But I think it's a matter of just keep making that attempt and go for the roundedness of the flutter that's in the back of the throat, and keeping your throat a little bit, the palate of the back just down as much as possible, and just narrowing the pathway in order for the vibration to occur, the oscillation.
That was a Flutespresso first. We gargled our coffee today. Happy Friday.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Everybody should gargle their coffee.
I hope you all are. Please tell us in the comments that you are also gargling with us. It will just make us feel better. There was one more Instagram question I wanted to get to. We're kind of going past our time. I feel like I could talk with you forever. And thank you for being here and hanging out. What are some of your favorite exercises for strengthening and maintaining intonation in the upper register? Again, from Unknown on Instagram.
That's such a wonderful question. The things that I love to do to maintain intonation have a lot to do with drones and vowels and support. The very first thing that I do is I take a drone sound and I just play intervals. And I start from the place where it's really comfortable on the flute, in the middle register. Like say if it's a C, middle C, or a middle C, right? Then I would just use that drone there, and I would just start to listen to the intervals and listen for the difference tones. And I would work my way up from fourths, so G, C to G, G to C, C to G, and then I would go. From there, I would not go up straight up to C, but I would go A, B, up to C that way, stepwise. And I would listen for the different tones in that moment and listen for the actual resonance pitches that are supposed to occur. And I would also listen for the balance. And I think one of the key things to do is to have a relaxed lower lip as you're going up and relaxed upper lip. We automatically decide to put tension in our upper lips whenever we go up in the upper registers. But the tighter our upper lips are, the more tense the sound. Mm-hmm. So I try my best to just work on that feeling, that sensation of relaxation whenever I'm going into the upper register. Even more so, I also think about what's going on in my palate up here, and the sinus cavities as well. Because when you have a more relaxed embouchure, you're able to activate those moments to fill the sound into those cavities. So that's what I do. Relax, shoulders down and back. Let my stomach, let the support that is right below my belly button do the main pushing of supportive sound to get it out of my body, and never using this part to get the sound out, to get the air out.
I love the way you put all of that. It's things I say all the time, said in different words, and I love it.
Yay.
I'm going to ask you two more things, and then we're going to do our express round. I did warn you, and I'm pre-warning you again. But what are you most passionate about right now?
Oh, what am I most passionate about? I'm most passionate about flute music that ties in diversity. Building repertoire around that notion, creating different sounds, creating different melodies for which flutists can enjoy. That to me is what I'm really, really passionate about. I'm also passionate about French flute music. I've been really just living through Poulenc for quite a while now, and just digging into his life, digging into the history, and how it reflects on French flute playing. That to me has just been an exciting journey. That's my passion.
Do you speak French?
No. Listen, if you're up in France, if you're up in Paris and you're hungry, I know how to get you some food. I can ask for directions. I can ask for a toothbrush if I need one to go to the store. Survival items, but and then they all look at me like I'm crazy because the pronunciation is never that good. But it's something that I hope to work on during the pandemic.
Oh, so you almost bridged right to my last question because I promised two more, and it was, what are you most looking forward to post-pandemic?
Playing in summer festivals. I miss it so much. I miss seeing colleagues from other states and other country cities, and sitting down and playing the greats, great chamber music with them. I miss traveling. I was coming up to platinum status this year,
Oh,
or before the pandemic hit. She's
yeah.
like, nope, gone. So I miss the thrill of being booted to first class, the chance of being, you know, not booted, the opposite. But
Upgrade.
but I'm an introvert, so what is really enjoyable about the pandemic is being, just at home and having the ability to really think about composition and flute performance and digging in, learning new pieces. At least I like to think that I'm really digging in, but the procrastinator always comes to play. But just having the headspace to really become creative and be artistic. I think that that's one thing that I've enjoyed. So it's kind of like this incubation time.
Mm.
Honestly, we worry. We're worried about staying safe, and we worry about our families. That's the hard part. My husband's father, he passed away
Mm.
back in October, and that was the big discussion. How do we get to the funeral, and all of those things. This is a terrible time. This pandemic, this virus is ruthless. It has separated us in a way that we have not ever felt before. That I just can't get on the plane and go see my mom. Not without some kind of massive preparation involved. But creativity wise, I think that it's been a good time of just incubating and soul searching. And I would actually say for my daughter, this is interesting. I don't know if you feel this towards your child as well. Um, when she was actually in school, there was like this oversensitivity. And so she would come home, her lifestyle really just not focusing and tuning in to things. But, she's been with us throughout this pandemic. We're doing homeschool. And all the things that she was excited about during playtime and all the things that she was bored with, it switched.
Mm.
Electronics, not so much anymore. The excitement of just being with people and just talking and having conversations,
Mm.
arts and crafts, the things that to me they're kind of like the old values of being. She's really starting to find appreciation in those things.
Mm.
And the impact of being oversensitized means that you might not be emotionally where you need to be, but she's just really, it's done something actually positive for her.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, as you were speaking of travel, I thought it was just back in January that I briefly met you. We were in Wisconsin,
Yeah.
and that feels so much more than a year ago.
I, time is flying really fast.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I hope we'll both be back to that type of travel, and I'll see you at another show soon. The flute shows will come back.
Oh, and I miss NFA convention.
Yes.
I miss it so much.
Mhm.
Oh, I can't wait. Well, I know we're gonna be remote, right? Viral. I gotta ask Jen.
Well, this past August, we were virtual.
But this August coming up,
I don't think they've decided yet, so don't say anything if you know.
Okay. All right. I don't know. I
You may
was
have
gonna say,
insider information because you're Valerie Coleman. You know everything.
oh my God. All I know is that I really want to see everybody at the convention if we're in person this year. And if we're not, I still want to see everybody.
Whenever we are in person, I say we have another cup of coffee together.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe not with our awesome mugs, but together.
That's what I'm talking about. Everybody, you guys are welcome to join us. Come on.
So, as promised, cheers. I'm out of coffee, and this is always when I know it's time to wrap up because if I'm out of coffee, we're done. I'm out of fuel. We must be done. And it's time for the express round.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So
Drum roll.
again, for those of you who are new to Flutespresso, oh, thank you for the drum roll. This or that questions. There's no thinking. There's no considering. Just pick one or the other. You are allowed to pass.
Okay.
Don't bite those nails off. It'll be okay. You're absolutely allowed to pass. And I didn't pick anything controversial, I think, but if I did, just pass.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Easy, right? Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Stop. Oh, pass.
Okay. Turkey or ham?
Turkey.
Not during COVID times, just in normal times, would you rather be at a large party or a small gathering?
Ooh, small gathering.
Warm or cold climate?
Pass. No incriminating evidence.
Oh, you're going to hate one of my other questions then, so I may pass it for you. How about cake or pie?
Oh, now see, why you got oh, that's tough. It depends on the cake and it depends on the pie. I know it's not an answer. It's not.
Tell me your favorite pie then. How's that?
Oh gosh. Okay.
Right.
Key lime or pecan or apple or
This is what your daughter does, isn't it? You have 4 best friends. Okay, piccolo or alto flute?
oh, piccolo,
Oh, that was hard.
alto flute, piccolo.
Both.
I
How
love
about
them both. They just, I mean, they just give me two different feelings of empowerment.
Oh, I like that.
You know, no other way to say it.
I like that. Skiing or swimming?
Ooh, swimming.
Ibert or Nielsen?
Eber.
Baroque or romantic?
Romantic.
Dogs or cats?
Birds.
Oh, we have 2 birds at the shop at Flute Specialists.
Oh.
Would you rather travel by plane or by car?
It depends on who I'm traveling with.
Ooh, that's a good answer. All right, you're going to skip this, but I'm going to ask anyways. Miami or New York?
New York.
Well done. Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook.
Boots or sandals?
Flip-flops. Just different. I guess that's sandals in a way.
It's more specific, and I like that. All right, and I'm breaking the format at the end. I was listening to the Imani Win's holiday album. No, it's Christmas. I can call it a Christmas album, right? And what is your favorite holiday song?
Oh. You guys know that one? This Christmas, firesides blazing bright. That one. Donny Hathaway, This Christmas.
And you sang it beautifully.
Thank you.
There's no better way for us to end Flutespresso today than that. Thank you so much, Valerie, for being here with us today.
Oh my gosh, Heather, you've made my Friday. Thank you so much.
You've made my week. Uh,
Okay, everybody. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Ellen.
don't forget to add some comments there. See, they're on a delay. So now this is for your singing. Comment to win the mug signed by Valerie, which she'll do in just a minute.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'll try. I'll give it a try.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Happy holidays.
Take care. Bye, everybody.